Welcome to the show. Welcome to your Thought Life podcast. I am your host, Michael Anderson. Today, we're jumping into the topic of creating a vision for your life and business. It probably was 1.5 years ago or so where we first introduced this idea of creating a vision for your life. And we're expanding on some of these principles and concepts and making relevant to 2025. So I'm going to begin by asking you a question. And the question is this: when you wake up in the morning, do you know exactly what you're building with your life and time and why? Because without a clear vision, it's easy to drift, family. Drifting is probably one of the chief time deterrents, progress deterrents that each of us will face from time to time when we're trying to do something that we've always wanted to do. You get busy, you react, you check off your to-do list, but sometimes it doesn't feel meaningful because it's not that one specific item that means the most to you, that jives with your vision. So your day feels full, but your soul feels empty. So in essence, today we're endeavoring to undo that cycle and that burden that sometimes each of us face when this set of circumstances plays out. Vision is what gives you, in effect, your purpose, and it aligns your actions with your values. So there's going to be some concepts that we're going to talk about today that are going to force you to really think through who you are and why you are, so that you can put together a vision for your life, for your career, for your business. We have an abundance of information in the psychological realm to show us that when we create a vivid mental image of what we desire for our future, our brain begins to rewire itself to make that future a reality. That's the power of intentional imagination. It activates the brain's predictive systems, helping you to notice opportunity by raising your awareness. And then it also will aid in the overcoming of distractions. And this will allow you to persist through the challenges that life is going to lay down in front of you, whether you like it or not. So in short, you become what you envision. You're moving toward what you're seeing for yourself, what you are speaking about your future, and the things that, again, you are thinking about. You're moving in that direction all the time subconsciously, whether you want to or not. And herein lies that cyclical pattern that we just talked about that sometimes does not help us get to where we want to go. And the most successful leaders, personally and professionally, aren't guessing where they're going, where they'll be in X number of weeks or months. They are designing exactly where they're going to be, whether, again, it's for their life, for their career, or for their business, or any other outcomes that are near and dear to them. Whenever I have the opportunity to work with someone to help them realize a different version of themselves, to put into play an achievable plan to help them hit some very important outcome, personally or professionally, or if it is even something as simple as getting into the mindset and making the appropriate adjustments to what's being thought about, what that person is actively thinking about, taking that and transforming it into a much more positive mental mindset to give them the setup that's necessary for the victory. Everyone wants to know the shortcut. Everyone wants to know What is the fastest mechanism that you have to offer to help me get the outcome that we're talking about? We've done a tremendous amount of work to really narrow that down, mostly now inside of 5 weeks. But let me give you today some things that you can begin to do to create a vision that sticks, that will help you to get to where you desire to be in a relatively short amount of time. Caveat: this assumes that you are going to apply yourself wholeheartedly to this vision and that you're going to keep yourself accountable some way, shape, or form, and that you're going to stick to it no matter what life throws your way. Number one, you have to start with the end in mind. What does your ideal life look like in 3 to 5 years? What does your ideal career look like in 3 to 5 years? What progress would you like to see in a measurable way for your business in the next 3 to 5 years? Irrespective of which plane you desire to see this level of success being manifest in, what you have to understand is it's all about your relationships, your health, your creativity, and impact. Period. Those are the key components that are going to make up this segment. We're talking about starting with the end in mind of what it takes for you to build out vision that will stick, that will resonate with you, that will have enough to drive you through the tougher periods and allow you to come out on the other side with the victory. Here's a pro tip. Don't play small here. Research from the Positive Psychology Institute confirms that the more emotionally compelling your vision is, the more motivated you'll be to take action. So as you're thinking through these elements, right, you got to think to yourself, how can I make these emotional? How can I make these so much so that they resonate with my core being, my core values? How do I make this vision for one of these 3 planes emotionally tangible, that it's all that I think about? When you're able to harvest during this process the emotional aspects, you're able to get that thing deeply seated in your heart. And once you get it deeply seated in your heart, then you can get the mind and the heart moving in the same direction. And now you've got the making of a vision that you can execute on every single day. Of course, you know that you're going to need to break those 3 to 5 years out into years or annualized years, and then you're going to break those into quarters so that you have a bit of a milestone approach toward each of those objectives. Once you do that, you are well suited to move into this next step. In this next step, what we're doing is we're taking the time to sit down in a very quiet place, in a place that is tranquil, absent of any distractions, no matter what that means in your environment. No electronics, loved ones, significant others, your grandchildren, your children, whatever distractions pop up for you when you're trying to do deep work, we want to eliminate all of those. And in the second step, we are going to write it in the present tense, the vision. We're going to describe your vision as if it's already happened. What we're doing here during this writing exercise is now we've taken the time to craft the vision. Now we're writing the vision down and we're etching it a little deeper in our psyche. in our mindset, in our heart, so that emotional element is much more easily attached to the overall vision. Instead of, I want to have a thriving business, right? I run a purpose-driven business that generates consistent revenue while giving me the freedom to be fully present with my family. To see the difference in those two statements. One was somewhat vague. The other was laser focused on all of the elements that are important to that specific person. What's the reason for this? Your brain responds more powerfully to present tense affirmations. It starts to believe it's possible. Anything that you begin to reckon and reconcile to the extent that you feel like, hey, this isn't something for someone else. I too can have this. I am qualified for this. I deserve this. Well, that's exactly what is needed. And then you're able to, through that belief, start to adjust your behavior and your actions accordingly. Now, the third thing you're going to do is then reverse engineer your path. What's that mean? Once you know where you're going, we've got to map out the milestones. I hinted to this. So we're looking at a 3 to 5 year time horizon for this first vision. Again, it's the first vision. It's not the only vision. And then we're going to back into these milestones. So we've got to break that 3 to 5 years up into annualized durations. And after we've done that, then we're going to break those 1 year durations into quarters. And there's going to be activities in each quarter that are going to get you 25% of the way, 50% of the way, 75% of the way, and then the completion of year one. Everything that is required, there's a roll up to a quarter, and then you've obviously got to break down those 3 months into what do I have to achieve the first 3 months to hit this first quarter. This is the reverse engineering process. We are going to apply the 80-20 rule. We are not going to sit here and get into a position of analysis paralysis. We are not going to create so much intensity on our emotional quotient that we can't get this done. Settling for 80%, and we're going to move into the execution phase, knowing that 20% of the information is not present, and that at some point during each milestone, we'll have to deal with that. Because we know we have to deal with that early on, it should not come as a surprise. There should not be an emotional discharge of high order because life has dealt one of these cards, again, inside of that 20%, or perhaps a part of the 80 that just didn't go quite right, and we've got to tweak or modify it so that we can move forward through completion of that first milestone. This is how we go about doing this process that we call visioning. And whether that's for life, career, or business, what you have to remember is a vision without action is just a dream. We're going beyond that, and we're building a blueprint of sort, because a vision has to be paired and aligned with execution, and it is when these two come together that the transformation takes place. So I trust that this is simple enough for you to go and act on. If you need help, let me know. I'm here for you at all times. Your vision isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It keeps you grounded when life gets chaotic. You need something to pull you back to the center. You're going to go out and hit your left margin, but you got to have something to bring you back. You're going to go out, you're going to hit your right margin. You got to have something to bring you back quickly, succinctly, emotionally each time. And it's going to help you say no to what's urgent so that you can say yes to what matters. And most importantly, it reconnects you with your why. Your why is so important, and you build that out in the first phase. And that's going to fuel you and keep you motivated as life plays out. So, the challenge here, the practical application is simple. Take 30 minutes today and just start on phase one. Don't think you're going to do all of this in one setting. Let's go 80-20 again. Let's see how much of phase one can we get done in this first 30 minutes. Come back and complete it. Then do phase two. Come back and complete it. Then do phase three. Come back and complete it. What you'll notice in the practical application is there is a consistent amount of work that keeps taking place until the objective is done. The vision requires the exact same application. So I trust that this was helpful. Thank you for joining me today for this episode. Do consider leaving us a rating and a review. It helps us to reach more people. We're in over 170 countries thanks to you. Feel free to connect with us through Linktree. The link is available in the show notes. You should remember you are enough, you can do it, and you are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. Until next time, take care and keep creating your vision.